Hello, my wills and witches, and welcome to the Luna Wolf Woods of Wisdom. So here we are, almost spring, just around the corner, and this is going to be a general reading for the collective consciousness, March 2022, full moon in Virgo. And so I am using the Forhaxa Tarot combined with the Earthcraft Oracle. And I combined these two different decks because I find they work really well together. They're both very earthy decks, and the colors really work well. They've both got kind of a bohemian psychedelic vibe to them. So this is the Earthcraft Oracle card that I pulled, which is Offerings. And with the Forhaxa Tarot, we have the Wheel of Fortune card here. And in the middle, we have the Ace of Swords, followed by our outcome card, which is the Eight of Swords here. And so I'll bring the cards a little bit closer so you can get a nice view because they're really gorgeous cards. So that's the Wheel of Fortune. And here we've got the Ace of Swords. So this is in our main message position. So Ace of Air, which is Ace of Swords. And final card here in the outcome position is Eight of Air or Eight of Swords. All right. So let's see what's going on. So I'll take a look at different areas of life. So I think I'll start out with financial. So what I'm picking up here for our overall theme of offerings is that we need to consider what money and what investments we're putting money into and what we're getting out of those investments. So we need to reevaluate our portfolio. Get rid of the dead weight that's not pulling in any finances in for us in our favor. Sell those that are the duds and put your money in more worthwhile investments and seek the help of a financial advisor before you do that so that you're getting sound professional guidance on how to manage your financial portfolio. But what I'm seeing here is that we are taking a look at the cycle of our finances from month to month and from year to year, and looking at how much we're able to save over the course of a year and how that ties into our goals. And we're looking at evaluating what we can drop off this Wheel of Fortune and what we would like to pick up. And when you're investing, it is a cycle. You will be winning, and sometimes you will be winning, sometimes you're going to be losing. So that's why it's always recommended to get professional financial advice and guidance from a professional when you are doing your investment portfolio before you make any purchases and before you sell off any investments. So that's what I'm picking up here with the Wheel of Fortune, is that some investments we're going to be letting go of, and then we're going to be evaluating which other investments we want to pick up and looking at, are these beneficial for us? Are they turning up or are they going down? So it is a cycle, like I mentioned. So you don't want to get scared off the second that your investments start turning downwards, because they will at some point. But with the help of a financial advisor, he will help you to focus on the long term and pick investments that will be increasing overall in the long-term cycle. So you will be getting some good advice from this professional. You will be picking up some really good ideas from him or her on investments, and you will be getting some new ideas, new investments coming in. You could be getting a new project off the ground, or taking on an entrepreneurship, or partnering with someone else on a new type of business. And it's worth your while to take some risks, because if you do take risks, it will be coming back to you in a positive way financially. And what I'm picking up here with the Eight of Swords is that you may be afraid to take those risks. But these are just mental blocks that are holding you back. So try to keep that in mind, that this is internal fears, internal anxieties that are eating away at you financially. And that's why you really need an unbiased, objective financial advisor to help steer you in the right direction there. All right, now on the work front, what I'm picking up here is that you need to be conscientious about what you're benefiting from your job, and what kind of cost this job is costing you. Not just I'm not just talking about money, but I'm talking about what are the costs of your job on your time, on your mental state. Is it a job that is causing you a lot of anxiety, and so much anxiety perhaps that it's eating away at your personal time, or it's impacting the way you interact with your friends or your family because of the stress that you're under? So it's important to look at the pros and cons of the job that you're in. What are you having to give out of yourself versus what are you getting back from your job? And evaluate whether this is worth it for you at this present time, whether it's a healthy job to be in, what kind of environment you're working with in terms of the coworkers that you're with. And, are you getting positive working relationships out of this job? Is it a positive work environment for you in terms of your coworkers? Are these people that you consider to be your friends, or are they people that you enjoy working with? Or is it a toxic work environment that's having a negative impact on perhaps your self-esteem and your life in general, beyond just the work 9 to 5 hours? And you need to evaluate whether this is something that you want to continue to remain in. If it's a positive work environment, then great. But if you determine that this is something that's not healthy, and you're perhaps giving more of your time and effort into this than you're getting back in terms of advancement opportunities or promotional opportunities or projects that you're interested in, etc. It's time to take a look at the what you're giving versus what you're getting out of this job. And with this Wheel of Fortune on this full moon, if you're not in a healthy working environment, this is a good time to consider releasing that job. And I'm not saying to quit that job without having anything in place to replace it, but start looking at what your options are. Start applying for other jobs if it's not the kind of job that you can see yourself in the long term. This is a time to look at that in the long term. We're in a cycle now, so on this full moon, this is a good time to release if it's a job that's not good for you. And start looking for other opportunities and applying to other jobs. And then the more jobs you apply to, the more options you're going to have coming in. So it's going to be a cycle. So, you don't have to stay in one job for your entire career these days. It's natural to change jobs, and it's also natural to have, you're going to have good days at work and you're going to have not so good days at work. But the important thing is to learn from your mistakes and to have a supportive environment where you can, learn from your mistakes and continue to grow and develop professionally. And if that's not something that is supported in your current workplace, then definitely release that and try to, apply to other jobs so that you will be able to release it once you do have a new offer coming in. And if you do decide to do that, I'm picking up here that new opportunities will be presented to you, and don't be afraid to take those opportunities. Don't stay in a job that is not healthy or that's toxic for you, just because you're familiar with the job and you're afraid of change and you're afraid of doing something different and something new. And I'm picking up here that, for many of you, you are feeling that kind of stress and anxiety about the possibility of changing careers or changing jobs, just because it's something new and you're afraid to take that risk. But I do recommend that you do take that risk if you're in a job that is not healthy for you and you're not getting out of it what you're putting into it in the long run. It definitely is worth that while to pursue other opportunities and take that risk. All right, and on the relationship front, likewise with this offerings oracle card here, so it's asking you to evaluate, what are you getting out of your partner versus what are you putting into the relationship. So it's very similar to the work situation. You need to take a look at, is this a healthy relationship? Is this something that you can see yourself sticking in for the long run? And, growing and developing with this person and changing. You're not going to be the same person that you are now in 10 years. But is this a person that you can see yourself growing and changing and evolving with over time in the long run? And if so, great. If not, then of course on this full moon is a time to evaluate whether this is something that you would want to release in your life. And just like the work situation, you may be feeling stress and anxiety and fears of being single, of letting this relationship go, and of seeking something new. But what I'm picking up here is that you should take that risk if you're not in a healthy relationship and you don't see this as something that's going to be a long-term relationship. It is going to be worth your while to take that risk and to, go out more, go on a blind date, go on the dating apps and see what's out there. And if you do, there will be something coming up for you. And it could just be, a coffee date, and make it something small in the beginning so that you're comfortable with it. Take a small risk in the beginning, meet someone in public for a coffee and put a time limit on it, 30 minutes max. And when you finish your coffee, you can go. And that way there's no pressure on you, but you're taking that risk. And by taking those kinds of risks and putting yourself out there, you will be meeting someone new. And you will be able to put those fears and anxieties aside. The more you take those small risks and kind of force yourself to go out there and expose yourself and, make yourself vulnerable to people, the more you're able to take those small risks, the more comfortable you will be with that kind of a, scenario. And I think during the pandemic, it's been very difficult for people that are single to be dating. And maybe people are kind of out of the, out of the ball game and not really used to doing that sort of thing. And they've been kind of sticking to themselves inside. Or perhaps they've been staying with a partner for the sake of, having that stability. But I'm picking up here that this is a good time for a change. If you feel like the person is not the right person for you, definitely do not just stay with them for the sake of being in a relationship or for the sake of having someone around just because you're afraid of the change or afraid of being single. All right, so now on a spiritual front, what I'm picking up here is that likewise on a spiritual level, we get out of our spirituality what we put into it. So this is a good time to evaluate if you're making your spiritual practice a daily routine. If not, consider doing that, because the more time you're able to devote on a daily basis, even if it's just 5-10 minutes at the end of your day or at the start of your day, you'll be able to get out of it what you put into it. So consider that, and consider, are you, I'm not saying that you have to go to church every Sunday. What I'm saying is, it could be something as simple as doing a meditation once a night, or just, saying a prayer before you go to bed, or invoking a goddess, or, pulling a tarot card once a day in the morning as you have your coffee or tea, taking that 5 minutes, maybe 5 minutes in the morning to shuffle the cards and pull a card, and then 5 minutes at night just to sit with the card and evaluate what comes up with you when you look at the card, or go on a meditative journey with it. It doesn't have to be a long journey. Could be something very short and sweet for 5 minutes, but it's a balance. So the more you're able to devote and give of yourself, the more you're going to get back from it. And so as with this balance, we are being asked to take a look here at releasing perhaps any toxic spiritual patterns or routines that you have, or other sorts of routines that are not supporting having a spiritual life or a spiritual path of some sort. So, perhaps you're just so involved in your work routine that you're entirely focused on that, and it's consuming you from day to day, and you're not able to get off that wheel. It's just spinning. So with the Wheel of Fortune, you're being asked to not just focus on the external daily life, the day-to-day routines, but to focus on your internal life on a deeper level. See, the inside of the wheel is your inner life, and then the external is the external material life. So it's asking you to find a balance between the internal and the external, and perhaps you need to take the time every day to focus a bit on the internal aspect of yourself. And by doing that kind of meditation to slow yourself down and focus on the internal, it's going to allow the spirit guides to come in and to give you the kind of guidance you need in your life. And so what I'm picking up here is that if you're able to do that on a daily basis, you will be seeing some breakthroughs in your spiritual abilities and your spiritual connectedness. So you may perhaps have a new developing a connection with a spirit guide or a spiritual entity of some sort that you're going to be connecting with. You may receive a spiritual sign during the day, so it could be an animal that crosses your path, which is a sign of some sort, or a raven or a crow, or it could be, seeing the same numbers that repeat over and over, or it could be a sign that comes to you in your dream. And this is actually a sign from your spirit guide or spiritual deity that you're connecting with. So if you do see those types of signs, definitely research it and realize that this is your spirit guide that's coming through to you to connect with you. And your spirit guide is there for you, despite the fact that you've got fears and anxieties. You can talk to them about, your deepest inner fears and anxieties, and they'll be able to guide you through it and direct you as to how to cope with that. But really recognize that any fears or anxieties that you're going through, it's okay to feel like that, but it's more of an internal thing that is not necessarily connected to the external reality. It's an internal feeling that you're having, that you're projecting onto the world. And by projecting it onto the world, it becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So just be aware of your internal thoughts and beliefs and how those are impacting the world around you, because with your thoughts and feelings and beliefs, you do manifest what you're bringing into the world around you and into your life. So just with this Wheel of Fortune card, be aware of your internal thoughts and beliefs by meditating, and by being more focused on that and aware of that, you'll be able to manifest the external reality that you really do want, and you'll be able to release any toxic or negative internal thoughts or patterns that you've had, so that you can bring in a more positive external reality into your life and manifest what it is that you do want into your life. So that's it, guys. This is a bit longer than I expected, but I hope you enjoyed it. I hope everyone is doing well and staying safe, and I look forward to your feedback as always. So take care, everyone, and if you haven't hit subscribe, please do that. Like, share, and comment, and I will see you in the next video.